Morning, guys. Welcome to Coffee Chat. Mm-hmm. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. First sip right there. Now, guys, I want you to show you this kind of cup. Now, it has a beautiful picture. It says Dallas After Dark. And actually, one of the folks that took my coaching sent me this cup. His name is Lewis. And Lewis got an award for this picture. In fact, it was like a very prestigious award, and he had taken it a while back. So really appreciate that and giving you a big shout out there, Lewis. Now, guys, a lot of things are going to be going on today. Absolutely, for sure. This is big. Mm-hmm. Of course, we're talking about the Fed rate cut. Now, there have been so much conjecture over this. People saying, oh, well, it's going to be 25 basis points, 50 basis points. Apparently, Elizabeth Warren got in there and literally wrote a letter to the Fed, at least according to the article I was reading, asking for a 75 basis point, reduction and stuff like that. And of course, the markets are just itching to know exactly which way it's going to go and how big of a rate cut it's going to be. And then, of course, they want to hear about multiple rate cuts going forward. And guys, what this spells is easy money in the long term. Now, traditionally, when we've had rate cuts, the markets have actually reacted and kind of come down with respect to them. But then what happens? Well, they just go nuts. And of course, we're talking about the Fed going out there and buying up debt like crazy. And that's what a lot of people are expecting now. When this happens, to think about it in this capacity, yeah, you're getting easy money because the printing presses are on like crazy. And of course, it's quantitative easing. They're just not going to tell us that. Now, the thing is this. When that happens, you're talking about the devaluation of the US dollar like we have never seen, and in a rapid, rapid pace. Now, one stat that I pointed out the other day, and I think it's absolutely mind bending to think about it. Well, the United States literally took from George Washington to Ronald Reagan to accumulate its first $1 trillion of debt. Now, that is mind blowing. Do you know what, guys? That's well over 100 years. Do you know how fast we're adding $1 trillion? It's 90 days. Can you fathom? Less than 100 days. So it took 100 years plus the first time. Now it's taking less than 90 days to add $1 trillion to the debt. And guys, just think about that. That is mind bending. You're talking about 4 to 5 trillion annually. Trillion. And when you think about that, obviously, you're talking about the dollar being worth way less. Why? Because you're putting into the supply way more dollars than what were already there. And devaluation and de-dollarization is happening big time. And in fact, I was reading an article today where it talks about most Americans, we are not feeling the effects of the de-dollarization as of yet, but it is happening on a global level. In fact, when it comes to reserves, because of course, US dollar was at one point considered, and maybe some still considered, as the world's reserve currency, because of course the amount of trade in it, and central banks around the wide world would hold on to US dollars and things like that. Well, guys, do you know what? That has dropped like over 14%, and that banks around the wide world, central banks, are just buying up gold like nobody's business. Why? Because gold, guys, is a tangible, real, and by the way, tier one asset that they can hold on to that will have its value. It's not so easily manipulated. You just can't go out there and print off gold like you can punch a few numbers on the computer and make up a whole bunch of money out of thin air, can you? And that is the deal. And the reality of it is, as we see these things, that assets, and now why do the markets go blazing up like that? Mm-hmm. Well, of course, it's an inverse correlation with the DXY when the dollar index. As the dollar loses that purchasing power and value and tanks, everything else measured against it goes up. Look at what gold's doing right now. Major all-time highs, multiple all-time highs. Well, that is not so much that the price of gold has gone up, but the value of the dollar has gone down. And that is a major thing to consider because this is the way the governments work when the central banks, I should say, work like this. Because, guys, when you inflate the currency to that degree, what are you really doing? You're destroying the purchasing power of that. Everything costs more. And now you got all these draconian measures. They want to, oh, we got to slap in price controls because people are gouging. No, guys, people aren't gouging. This is not gouging these price increases. What's really going on is the economy is not as good as they say. And folks are losing their jobs and not able to actually earn the same amount of income they did before, or are having to replace that single paying job with 2 or 3 part-time jobs. And obviously that matters, right? That's why you see places like Dollar General, Dollar Tree, and all these stores. Macy's just closed 55 locations because people aren't out there shopping. So the pressure from that, of course, is that the earnings are down and the value of goods, of course, going up because it costs more to produce them, and also supply and demand. And that's what's going on. And the dollars that were used to do the production in the past don't buy the same amount of materials as they once did because the value of those dollars have diminished. But they want us to make it seem like, oh, well, all these producers, all these manufacturers, all these other companies, all these retailers, they're just hiking up the prices because they're greedy corporations. What a load of baloney. Talk about a blame shift, like a head fake blame shift that you've ever seen. That is the reality. Is they are destroying the currency to make it look like easy money so that all things are rosy and this and that. Meanwhile, the cascading results and effects are right before our very eyes, and we can see the devaluation of the currency and de-dollarization happening around the wide world. And you think about this. Do you realize from a statistical point of view there are more $100 bills in Russia than there are right here in the good old US of A? That is a absolute statistical fact. All you fact checkers out there, you go look that one up. I'll tell you, that is mind-blowing. And that is with an adversary, not an ally. And yet, they are going to dump, that money is being dumped all the way back. Now, when it comes back, guys, back onto American shores, what do you think happened? Do you think they just burn it like that and it makes no impact? No, guys, they can't do that. And the reality is, when that tsunami of people dumping the US dollar comes back, I'm telling you, most Americans are not even going to be able to recognize the world that they will be living in because it is going to be something else. It has been the petrodollar, the US dollar, and the strength of that world reserve currency that has allowed most of us here in the Western world to live the lifestyles that we do versus most of the rest of the world. And it has allowed for a lot of conflicts to be avoided in a physical way because why? They throw those financial sanctions on there, and they could just put pressure on a lot of nations around the world to bend to their will through all these sanctions. Well, that is game over, guys. You got the BRICS nations out there literally coming out and saying, listen, we're setting up our own system based on distributed ledger technology, and we're circumventing this whole SWIFT nonsense and the hegemony and all of the manipulation and control that comes with the US dollar. And that's what's going to be going on. So when you sit there and celebrate all these rate cuts, oh, this is wonderful because now, I can afford to go out and borrow this and borrow that. And of course, that's the easy money part of it. But the deal is this, guys, it is not going to be ultimately long term, it's leading to the destruction of what this current system is. And having said that, do you think that they don't foresee that they're just sitting there with their eyes closed? Oh yeah, hoping it. No, guys, they know exactly what they're doing. It is a consolidation of wealth and power right over into there to the central banks. Watch other businesses that are going to literally collapse and stuff like that, and you watch and see how much is going to be consolidated. Why? Because they want to be the lenders of last resort and only resort. And that's what it's going to come down to. And of course, guys, for you and I, we're looking down the road and we're seeing what the infrastructure is being laid. I mean, come on, if you were driving down the street and you saw some foundations going up and some construction going on and on and on and on, you saw some overpasses starting to be built and this and that. You're seeing, hey, traffic is being rerouted. I guess it's pretty easy to say, well, I suppose they're going to be making some big changes in this road work here, this highway, and we're probably going to be driving on that not too much longer. Well, guys, that's what it's like. The rails are being laid in this new digital economy, and you can see the infrastructure being set up all around the wide world. I mean, you had the MICA rules over there in Europe. You got Fit 21 sitting in the House right now, Congress right now, and all of that over in the Senate. You got all these stable coins that are coming out and things like that. All of these digital assets that are out, this distributed ledger technology, and working with every major financial center from the IMF, BIS, to all the central banks around the wide world. You can see the infrastructure, can't you? I mean, that's where you want to look down the road. And that's why I say, for those of us that are sitting here in this digital asset space, you go and count yourself blessed, because most people are absolutely oblivious to what's about to take place. Wow. And guys, I do not think it's going to take another 10, 15, 20, 25 years. Nope. I think within the next 2 to 3 years, bang, are we ever going to see a flip of the switches? That is for sure. And this, what we're going to see right now. And of course, guys, by November, oh, well, we met our goals. We met our inflation goals. Whoa, look how we turned it around, on and on and on. You know the narrative is going to be, but it's not reality. It's not reality. I mean, we all can see that. They don't include grocery or power in those CPI numbers and all of that. And just finished with this. Reading another article about a lot of these jobs and things like that. Now, we know that they have literally come out and caught them red-handed, fudging numbers for job numbers. But beyond that, a lot of these recruiting agencies that I'm reading, a lot of them are ghosting applicants. They'll get them like partway through the process and they'll have had a few interviews. All of a sudden, crickets. Don't hear from no letters of rejection, nothing like that. It is a trend that has been picking up where they're just getting ghosted. And they're like, hey, I would rather get, a pleasant rejection letter than not hear anything. And the reason for that, guys, is there are so many applicants that literally, for them to keep up with all of the rejections and the jobs, a lot of these jobs that are posted, guys, it's phony baloney. They're going out there, they're doing the song and dance, but then the organization says, well, do we really need that position? No, we don't. Let's just scrub it. So of course, all the headhunters and recruiting agencies, well, those just drop off the list, don't they? All the companies say, yeah, we're not actually not gonna fill that position. We're gonna double up with our executive team over here, and they're just gonna take on, more responsibility and stuff like that. So we're just not gonna, and they're doing it by attrition as well. They're letting jobs fall off, people retire, people, get sick, people quit, on and on. Some get terminated, of course. And then they say, that's it. We're not replacing those positions. And they're allowing it to happen. And it's happening, guys, at record pace. And that right there spells lots. And there's a lot of people out there. Hey, maybe you're one. Drop some comments down in the comment section about that, about your experience. If you've been sitting there for a good while, and we're not talking just, couple weeks. There are people out there that have absolutely excellent resumes that have been searching for and have applied at hundreds and hundreds of places and have been out of work for months and months, and are literally going to take what we would deem back in the day, a job for, a high schooler or something like that. They're taking jobs, guys, that, normally would have been filled by kids, because why? There's no work for them in the professional world the way it was before. And right there is telling us volumes. But are they reporting that? Nope, they're not. That's it. Take the blinders off, guys. Take the blinders off. Now, we're going to listen and see what the Federal Reserve comes out with today. But I would not be surprised if we see a 50 to 75 basis points cut. I would not be surprised. In fact, I think there's more people that are expecting that. In fact, one article I was reading said about 62% of market participants are expecting at least a 50 basis point cut in the rates and stuff like that. And guys, wait and see. Wait and see, wait and see how that is going to affect markets. I'll tell you what. And guys, I believe they're going to put the presses on like you have never seen. And they are just going to burn it. The midnight oil, wow, is it going to be burnt? That is for sure. And for those of us, hey, all these assets that we have that are measured against the dollar, yep, they're going to appreciate, but it's mostly because the dollar is being absolutely decimated. Look down the road, guys. That's what I would say. Look down the road. Anyhow, guys, I'll tell you what, I hope you're having an amazing day. It is absolutely so mild out this morning. Sun's not burning hot, 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 and it's really cool. And I don't know if we had a rain overnight. Doesn't really seem like it, but it's cooled down quite a bit, that's for certain. So tell you what, wherever you are in the wide world, I pray you're having an absolutely fabulous one. And until later on today, take care, and we're going to have an amazing video for you. So until then, guys, have a great one and take care.